Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species around the multiverse, welcome to Geek Syndicate episode 113. What am I talking about? It's 311. Yeah, I never even got my O level in maths, so do you know what I mean?
No, you didn't.
I'm doing well just saying numbers.
I got an unclassified in English, and I had to ask someone what was unclassified. It's like including the title, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a bit shameful, to be honest. Let me try that again. Welcome to Geek Syndicate episode 311. I am Monts, and with me is
Nuge gonna give it to you. He gonna give it to you. Nuge gonna give it to you. But not you. Nuge gonna give it to you. Yeah.
Nice. And what is so special about today's recording?
I finally got a glass of wine.
I too. Red or white?
Red.
Yeah, me too.
The chocolate block, which is a lovely cheeky little number.
Like you know what the hell you're talking about.
That's all I know about it.
You say something about like nice bouquet or something like that.
I was just gonna say it's red and leave it there, man. But what is special is today, and in fact it is today as we record, not when you listen, will be 13 years since I published episode 0 of Geek Syndicate, which was Geek Syndicate episode 0 Origins. 13 years, man.
13 years, man. I mean, you know what? That makes us podcasting veterans.
It does. Or as someone pointed out, it makes us podcasting teenagers.
Yeah, I like that. We're finally teenagers. We started to come of age.
Yeah.
And I mean, my big thing is that when we started, we'd ask people for interviews and people were like, what's a podcast? That's where we were.
And you look at the podcasting landscape now is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But we're still here, still navigating those choppy waters.
Yeah. We've had a few lulls due to life.
But we're still going. So just want to say moving straight into the shout outs. I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who has listened to us over the years, and even bigger shout out to the Geek Syndicate team who take care of the website, and everyone who's hosted a podcast on the Geek Syndicate network.
There's been a few over the years.
There's been a few.
Come and gone, changed names.
Yeah. So, enough talk.
Enough talk. I just want to give a shout out to Bethan Dixon Bate, I should say. I'm going to talk in the week that was. I'm going to talk about something, and you'll see why I gave her a shout out. So we'll leave it like that for now.
Okay. So I wasn't going to do any news, but I've got a bit of news that I kind of just want to talk about.
Go on, then.
Because obviously it's news, isn't it?
Yeah. It's news, isn't it? So then, let's do the news.
So I'm going to send you something.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, drop file. Ooh. Hopefully this won't knacker the the record, because us and technical stuff whilst recording never goes well.
Oh, okay. Do you know what? There's something quite amazing about that.
So tell the people what I've just sent you, Dave.
Okay, you've sent me a picture of two people outside the Daily Planet. Well, they're standing outside the Daily Planet kind of logo type thing, and it's two Supermen, and it's the guy, I can't remember his name, but he plays Superman from
Tyler Hoechlin.
He's Superman from the Supergirl CW TV show, and there's Brandon Routh from the old movies.
Yeah,
both in very different style Superman outfits. And it's just something about it, I don't know. It's something because Brandon Routh is always quite good at visually, if not in anything else, channeling Christopher Reeves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something I don't know, it just feels a little epic looking at that. Is this from the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yes.
Oh, man. I am so the CW shows I've kind of left by the roadside.
Yeah.
And this is making me want to go and just watch every single episode just to catch up before it kicks in. And I haven't been paying that much attention, but all the tiny little things I've seen coming through has just made me go, ooh.
Did you watch the last crossover?
No.
Okay. You might want to watch the last crossover because that just set up some of the stuff, I think.
Okay, okay.
So what we know so far is, so obviously that picture there. So you've got Superman from Supergirl is in it, but Brandon.
And this is one that's got Kevin Conroy as Batman.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Good.
So you've also got Brandon Routh is playing Superman, but he's playing the Superman from the Kingdom Come.
Oh, what
era.
really? If you explains the costume.
Yeah, there's a picture. He's literally, that famous picture of like where you've got
the Alex Ross picture.
Yeah. He's done that. When you see that one, that pisses all over this one. And but what they've confirmed is it's actually continuing the timeline that was started in Superman the movie. So that's his universe, if you get what I mean.
Oh wow! What?
So it will be like Superman the movie, Superman 2, because Superman 2 was always Superman
literally
Returns.
Makes you want to go back and watch it.
I know,
and I never thought I'd want to watch it again.
Because Superman Returns was always supposed to be in canon.
I know I keep cutting you, man, but I've just seen the Kingdom Come picture.
Yeah, tough, isn't it?
Whoa! I have to get Kingdom Come out again.
So, just to give you some, so have you seen that they've got the Clark and Lois from Smallville are in this as well?
What?
Tom Welling is in this.
They're throwing everything in, man.
Yeah, they even put a picture up. So it's Tom Welling, Erica Durant. They even put a picture up. I think it went on Instagram today of Tom Welling with the Supergirl Superman and the sort of Supergirl Lois Lane, all kind of like just standing outside the barn, which I'm assuming is in Smallville. I'm just like, you know what? Any issues you might have had with them CW shows, you just get over it for this.
I hear you. This is one of them ones that's either going to be magnificent or a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Plus,
it's got Black Lightning in
it. This is one of them ones that there's no in between.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's going to be great.
Yeah. I just think, given the people that they've signed up for it, I don't know. I can't not help but be like hopeful and excited about it.
I
can't not. It's got Kevin Conroy in it as Bruce Wayne. Do you know what I mean?
I'm feeling the excitement. I'll be honest. I'm feeling the excitement.
You've got Kevin Conroy in it. Do you know what I mean? The voice of Batman, isn't it?
Yeah, it is the definitive Batman, even if he's never done it physically.
Yeah, you can throw your Christian Bale at me and whatever his name was, the other dude, Ben Affleck, and they're good. I'm not knocking them, but for me, whenever I think of Batman, I think of Kevin Conroy's voice.
Yeah,
that's my Batman.
Yeah.
You're telling me you got him in a show, and you got him alongside a Superman that's trying to drop a Kingdom Come Superman, and you're telling me it's in canon with the Christopher Reeve films?
It's in canon. I'm all
over that, man.
Yeah. And you know what? See, because it's based on Crisis on Infinite Earths, isn't it?
Well, that's what it's called. It's called Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, well, there you go. So in my mind, that was the definitive crossover. Sorry, not crossover. That was the definitive comics event. Because as a young man, I wasn't a kid at that point, never seen anything like it up until that point. I mean, everyone involved, different, universes, different dimensions, and it was they threw everything at it. How can I spoil it? I mean, it's a 25-year-old comic.
Yeah, but the problem is no.
Okay, so it was. I mean, what I can say is characters died, and because the events weren't a big thing by then, you believed that was it. That you believed they were done.
Yeah.
Back then. So, I mean, it was shocking. It was amazing. It was literally open the page, and before you could even start reading, you'd be like spending 10 minutes trying to count all the characters on a page because everybody, this was the fate of the entire multiverse. Do you know what I mean? Before they had the term multiverse, it was huge. And in my mind, it's still one of them really significant comic events that will never be surpassed by anything of the sort, just for his historical value. So yeah, this is a bold move, and I am excited. Given that I've kicked it to the CW to the curb, I'm excited.
You're gonna pull over to the curb now, hop back in, CW.
Hop back in. There's so much though, man. I haven't seen any of Pennyworth. I'm behind on Black Lightning. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
So there's going to be, so this kicks off December the 8th. It's going to be 5
That
parts.
how long I've got to catch up.
Yeah, it's 5 parts. Supergirl, Batwoman, which is probably where we'll see Bruce Wayne, I would have thought. The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow. And it looks like it's going to run until December the 10th. Then there's a break, and then it's going to come back in January.
So what I'd like to say to people is, given that, I mean, I am seasons behind. If anyone wants to recommend to me what I should probably keep in mind, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. What I should watch to maybe be in a comfortable place to watch this, I'd be grateful. And so would the world at large, who feels the same as me.
Indeed. Right then.
Should we talk the week that was?
Yes.
Let's talk the week that was.
So first off, I want to give a quick hell back to I was going to say last week's episode, but last month's episode, because I got to do this. I got to applaud you, buddy. I got to applaud you.
What did I do?
You know what, right?
It doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often, so just soak it up. Because we've been doing this, as I said, we've been doing this for 13 years, and most of the times our recommendations tend to work for each other. We've known each other for a long time. You know, I'm fairly confident if I recommend something to you, you're gonna like it. But let me tell you, yeah, did yourself, man. Because you recommended me to watch Bait.
Oh,
which was to recap people from who didn't listen to it last month. This was a cheaply produced, is it Australian?
Yeah.
Where a load of people get trapped in a supermarket, which is partially submerged, alongside a load of
white sharks.
Whatever it's called. Was it one shark?
No, there was one in the supermarket and there's one in the car park.
In the underground car park. Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you, man. I haven't. I'm
cracking up just thinking.
I haven't had so much fun with a film in a long time.
So I watched it with Siobhan and we sat down to watch a movie last night. And I was like, can we watch Bait again? She went, no. She was no. And I'm like, I do not regret a moment of watching that movie.
I'm telling you, man. That's my go-to. If I've had a hard day at work, it's just like I'm just gonna come home and just put a Bait for 20 minutes, man. And I can't even say anything. I don't want to spoil it for people. But the opening sequence, man.
Harshness, man.
That I think harsh is just, if I had to describe that film in one word, it would be harsh. Also, people were digging up in that film. People were chipping.
This wasn't one of those ones where people were scared, and they were running, and you sit there going, you know what? I spent a lot of my youth in Tottenham. I know I could run. I know what being frightened looks like.
Yeah,
that ain't being frightened. Them people were frightened, or they had a mission. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go! I'm like, wow.
I've got to say one thing though, and it is a spoiler. If we're in that kind of situation, right, and someone says, "I've got this idea, right? We've got to throw this lever to like get out or whatever. I've got this idea, right? We're gonna put you in a load of like shopping baskets to stop you, right, and tape it up, and that's gonna stop the shark from getting to you. You know what, right? You could take your shopping basket, you can shove it where the sun's outside.
Too damn right.
What kind of idea is that? It's like, I'll tell you what, mate. You go down there first. Do you know what I mean?
I was like, you know what? I was like, how are you going to choose who does that? Because it's going to have to be a volunteer. Because, like, we've drawn lots, and you got the short lot. Don't care.
Don't care.
Okay.
I'll just snap.
You got to do it, man. You said you would. Yeah. Don't care.
It's like, we've drawn lots. You've got.
But we're all die. We're all die if you don't do it. At least we'll be together.
Yeah. Can I just see your straw? Yeah. You've got the shortest straw. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no way, man. No way. Yeah, that was a film. That was a film. And what I love about Netflix is when you pick a film like that, a lot of other films pop up around it. So
I know.
I added about 6 films to my watch list. Do you know what I mean? But, that's me sorted.
That was the other thing. We sat there and I went, And he said, "Yeah, what should we watch tonight?" I said, "Well, there's a number of shark-based movies that we could access."
Shark-based movies. Also, here's a spoiler, but I mean, I've got to say this. At the end, when they go, what do we do now? We rebuild.
You know what they didn't? I mean, when The Rock did it in what was that one? Was that
San Andreas?
San Andreas. And at the end, they're looking out over this. It's all messed up. And he goes, "What do we do now?" And The Rock is like, "Now we rebuild." I mean, that was bad then, but you let it go because it's The Rock. Yeah, I'll forgive that man anything. Yeah, but this guy, I don't even know who you are. Yeah, and you didn't even give it any gravitas. What do we do now? Rebuild.
Yeah.
Music. I was like, that was poor. That was really. I'm like, that must have been a joke.
Oh man, what a film though! What a film! If you like disaster movies, and I got to say, when they did come outside, man, Australia was fucked.
Totally. I mean, Australia's a big place, so let's just say like that.
Yeah, but still, man.
Totally. I don't even know how any of them survived the first to be honest. But talk about movies that made me laugh. Yeah, so like I said last night, we said let's watch a movie because like my daughter broke my TV, but I managed to find. I suddenly remembered I had a projector in my loft that someone had given us.
Oh, cool.
And it took me a long time to make it work because it was a bit incomparable. Anyway, so we're like, do you know what? It's been a hard day. Got the projector working. Let's watch a movie. What do you fancy? Went on Netflix. As you know, a few things come up. One of them was Shaft, the new Shaft movie with Samuel L. Jackson.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Well, oh my dear. You know what I mean? It ain't old school Shaft because old school Shaft wasn't. It had stuff. It had stuff that would make you laugh, but it wasn't a comedy by any shade. Whereas this was just gags, man. But I enjoyed it. And the one that cracked me up was when Samuel L. Jackson's standing, he's got his long coat and his glasses on, and this woman's like, "You come in here looking like you're from the Matrix." And he's like, "Man, I am so tired of these comparisons." And you know what that goes back to? He was, as Samuel L. Jackson was doing an interview, and they asked him, basically, what did they ask? Oh yeah, they asked him what it was like filming Matrix. And he was like, he goes, "What?" He goes, "I'm not Lawrence Fishburne. Do we all look the same to you?"
You don't have the same skin tone.
Not even the same, but dude thought he was Lawrence Fishburne. And so when they put that in shot, I was in tears. Siobhan's looking at me like, "What's so funny?" And I was like, that is a masterpiece right there.
My thing with Shaft was, I mean, it was some funny. It's not. I mean, I'll say it straight out. It's no Black Dynamite. It's no "I'm gonna get you, sucker."
It ain't.
All right. It's funny.
It was trying to occupy middle ground. So
yeah.
So it's never going to be covered in glory.
Yeah. But a part of me, and I enjoyed it, but a part of me kind of it jarred with what I know of Shaft. Do you know what I mean? And especially when he did the first Shaft, which was serious. Mm. So it was a bit weird that I had to sort of get my head around it. Once I got my head around it, it was kind of all right. And to be honest,
it's one of those ones you just got to take it for what it is.
Yeah. But to be honest, I enjoyed it. But the best part of it, because I wasn't even really bothered with his son, the best part of it hit when Richard Roundtree came in. I was like, what? Why wasn't he in the whole film? Shaft. He was dropping some lines in it, man. Yeah. It made me laugh, but.
Got no worries with lying. It's got no code.
No. So I wanted to talk comics briefly.
Right. Yeah.
I need to bring this one up quickly.
While you're finding one, I'm going to talk about a comic. So I don't know if you know, there was a movie called Snowpiercer. Mm-hmm. So it's a post-apocalyptic one. The world is kind of frozen, but there's a train with a perpetual motion engine just going round and round and round the world, and that's where the remnants of humanity are on. And it's written by Jacques Lob and Jean-Marc Rochette. So the movie was based on a comic book, a French comic book, and the English translation was published by Titan Comics. And there's three: Snowpiercer, The Escape, and Snowscaper, The Escape, Snowpiercer, The Explorers, Snowscaper, The Crossing. The third volume is called Terminus. So there's three books. So, but it turns out, and I haven't seen the trailer yet, but there's a a Snowpiercer TV series coming.
Yes. I think I have seen the trailer for it. Is it coming on Netflix?
I'm not sure. I know nothing. I've really got to have a look at it because I don't know nothing. So just to get us ready for that, they've written a prequel called Snowpiercer. Part one's called The Extinction. It's written by Monts and Jean-Marc Rochette. And the art is by Jean-Marc Rochette. So I read it, and it starts off before the disaster, that catastrophe that happened that made the world what it is, and shows you how it came about and how the trains came about and all that.
Oh, okay.
I was so disappointed.
Really?
I don't know if it's the translation, but the writing was so obvious. I mean, not obvious. It was just the writing was basic. I mean, the art was fine. The writing was basic, and the reasoning behind it was just all a bit like, come on now.
Right.
I don't know. The concept was okay. I think they could have just done it so much better, and I was so disappointed because I really loved the comics. But it's the original comics. I don't know. I didn't. So I mean, our problem is I went in with my standards high. So I don't know. I'm just disappointed. But that hasn't dissuaded me from looking forward to the TV show.
Okay.
So yeah, Snowpiercer.
Right. Well, just to try and he says topping up his wine. Just to try and lift
moved
up
to whiskey.
Okay, hardcore. Just to try and lift our comic spirits.
Yeah, thanks.
I read a comic. This comic is called Roll the One. Have you heard of it?
No.
By Chris Boldy. That's actually a cool name. Sorry. So the blurb is.
I wish his middle name was Gary.
Yeah. It's out now. It's coming from BHP Comics. The blurb is: Alice is no stranger to being the new teen in town. When she arrives at a new school, the last place she expects to find herself in is the middle of a daring quest with a cleric, an orcish bard, and a dwarven warrior. Together, this ragtag band and their crafty games master take on thrills, chills, and spills to delight readers young and old, learning along the way about friendship, teamwork, and belonging. Will Alice roleplay her way into a group of new Will Alice roleplay her way into a group of new friends, or will she roll a one? So,
nice.
Yeah. So actually, that's really that pretty. I don't even need to say anything more.
No,
you know
no.
what I mean. However, I will. This is.
Try and stop him.
This to me is like a cross between the. Well, it's not really a cross between, like the opening on the very first episode of Stranger Things where they're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
It's basically that as a comic, but we all know, because me and you have played Dungeons and Dragons, and obviously many people who listen to this have played Dungeons and Dragons, and we all know when we play Dungeons and Dragons and you're really into it, you are imagining yourself as those characters and you're imagining the scene. And if you've got a particularly good dungeon master, they have painted that scene for you perfectly.
Yeah.
What this comic does in comic form is it transports you to those scenes.
Nice.
So it shifts between the real world and the world of the game, and it will switch back. And as the blurb says, it's kind of centered around a girl, and she started at a new school, and it's that kind of same thing. It's that thing we all face as new starter and stuff like that. And I thought the way that she gets brought into this group was done so well, because the way it's laid out in the comic would make you believe it was going to go a completely different way and not a good way. And then it sort of subverts your expectations. In case I haven't sort of given it away, I absolutely love this. This is like one of my picks of the year.
I got that.
And probably, I say picks of the year, picks of a few years, because one, it's all ages, and there's not enough of those. I keep saying this. Two, the art is glorious in it. Three, it's just got so much like heart in it, and it's about friendship and it's about adventure. And also, if you ever wanted to explain to someone what Dungeons and Dragons at its best is, give them this comic to read.
Funnily enough, one of my students just literally had her first D&D game like a month ago. And she said, I've never saw myself as the sort of person playing that. And how did she find it? Well, she had her second go last night. So I guess she loved it.
I read this, and by the end of it, I'm like, man, I need to get myself back into Dungeons and Dragons. I personally haven't played Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I know, but it's like, you
since I don't know.
You got to find a group. You got to find the
Yeah.
time. It's just tough as you get older.
So if anyone's got any ideas of how me and Dave can get involved in some sort of Dungeons and Dragons, whether we do it as, I don't know, whether it's, I don't know how the kids do it now, whether we can do it online, whether we can do it as a Skype thing. I just love to do a campaign.
Being in a group though, does it?
No, I know, but just I don't know, man. I've just got hankering. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm going away from it. I thoroughly recommend people pick up this comic. It was lovely, you know, and like I said, and it is at its heart, at its core, it's about making new friends and friends that are going to probably be your friends for life, and that is what a good D&D group does.
Yeah.
So yeah, roll the one. Link in the show notes. Check it out, peeps.
Yeah. I wanted to talk, I was going to mention a book, but I was looking at the author's thing, and maybe I'll talk about it next time. Now I just want to talk about a book that he's written that I haven't read.
Okay.
So his name's Tade Thompson.
That sounds... Did he do Rosewater?
He did Rose. Have you read Rosewater?
No.
Okay, I've read it. Rosewater was the book I was going to talk about.
Okay.
But I just saw the description. He's written a book called The Murders of Molly Southbourne.
Right.
I'm just going to... The rule is simple. Don't bleed. For as long as Molly Southbourne can remember, she's been watching herself die. Whenever she bleeds, another Molly is born, identical to her in every way and intent on her destruction. How messed up is that, man?
I don't know what's more messed up, the actual concept or the fact he's able to come up with it.
Right? So Molly knows every way to kill herself, but she also knows that as long as she survives, she'll be hunted. No matter how well she follows the rules, eventually the Mollys will find her. Can Molly find a way to stop the tide of blood, or will she meet her end at the hand of a girl who looks just like her? I'm terrified.
After I've got a book to talk about. After I've talked about this book, I'm gonna get that one off Amazon because that's ridiculous.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the Kindle is £2.44. That's what it's going for at the moment.
Okay. On a side note, and then I'll come back to this book because I want to talk about this book. Amazon, right? So for the first time ever,
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with. For the first time ever, I saw the person who owns Amazon. He was a bloke called Jeff Bezos.
You posted the links all over.
I posted links, because I'm on a whole mission now. Seriously, right? How is it, given the fact I hang out with so many geeks, how is it that no one has joined the dots that this man is a spitting image of Lex Luthor?
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't even lie and say no, he's not. He really is.
It's a spitting image of Lex Luthor, Monts. And he owns Amazon, which pretty much owns the world, and everyone, and no one's talking about this.
What was it? Pete Rogers says. He said, I've got to find it because it was genius. He goes, it's not like he's sending drones out to homes across America, is it? Or recording what people say in their homes, or, oh, hang on.
Wow.
No, and it is I can't even argue. It's Lex Luthor.
And big up to Pete, who actually did a shot of him side by side with Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And it was indistinguishable.
And that was the one that killed me. I was like, oh dear. Oh dear.
All I've got is that quote, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was like convincing the world he didn't exist. He's right there. Do you know what I mean?
Greatest trick Lex ever pulled was to call himself Jeff.
Yeah. If I ever somehow find myself having to meet him or shake hands, I'm just gonna go, "Yeah, let's leave for you."
You think he's our new arch enemy?
I'm not saying it out loud because my Lex is sitting in the corner of the room. Yeah,
my phone is on. So, you know what I mean?
I'm not risking it, man. And I see them drones. Them drones are scary, man.
Yeah. Enough said.
We'll talk afterwards about listing devices nearby.
All right.
So I want to quickly mention a book. So I went away for a week with Sue, and it's been a long time since I've actually sat and just immersed myself in the book, to be honest. And normally when I do, it takes me ages to read a book. And this book, I read it in a day. It's called Doing Time, and it's written by Jodi Taylor. It's not out yet. It's actually published on the 17th of October. So the blurb is, a long time ago in the future, the secret of time travel became known to all. Everyone seized the opportunity and the world nearly ended. There will always be idiots who want to change history. And so the Time Police were formed, an all-powerful international organisation tasked with keeping the timeline straight at all costs. Their success is legendary, and the time wars are over. But now the Time Police must fight to save a very different future, their own.
I just looked it up on Amazon. Jeff. And the last line of that, because this is a story of Jane, Luke, and Matthew, arguably the worst recruits in Time Police history.
Yeah.
And I was like, with that last line, you kind of got me. I'm always a sucker for them Time Police type stories.
And the thing is as well is like what I hadn't realised is when I started reading it is this is actually a spin-off from a whole book series that Jodi's done called The Chronicles of St. Mary's.
Okay.
Of which is there's like 10 books, I believe, and they're time travel as well, but they're from the point of view of, let me see what there's,
a bunch of disaster-prone historians.
Yeah,
who
they kind of
major historical events.
Yeah, so the Time Police are basically there to stop people messing from time, whereas the St. Mary's Law, from what I can understand, they're more kind of like, they're almost like archaeologists. They kind of go to observe history unfolding.
Cool.
Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they'd
yeah,
rock up to like, do you know what I mean? And they're there to kind of record it for like posterity, that kind of thing. But this Time Police one is actually a spin-off of the St. Mary's books, which I didn't realize when I started reading it. So first off, I really enjoyed it. It was a real fun read. It wasn't too heavy, wasn't too dark, which I'm all about at the moment. There's a lot of darkness in the world. I just like some light humor, some fun, and relatable characters, and just things I can kind of get my teeth into. And this has got that in spades. Really likable characters, even though they are the worst recruits. You're right. They are really likable characters. Even the one who is a bit of an arse, and you'll get to see what their backstory is and where they're coming from. And I quite like the opening of the book because it's done in first person for each of the characters to begin with. But once the story gets going, it then switches to third person. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Can't recommend it enough. To the point of the minute I finished it, I then went and bought the first book of the St. Chronicles of St. Mary series.
Okay.
And I started reading that because obviously there's crossovers in there, and some of those characters kind of pop up in there. But effectively, the whole story is the Time Wars. They just messed up everything. There's this whole blurb before the book even starts, which explains what happened in the Time Wars, and it's just it ain't good. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
and they formed the Time Police to kind of sort it all out, and then the wars has kind of ended. But again, it's that sort of thing of where you've given an institution so much power, and they don't really need to have that level of power anymore. It's almost like they're becoming slightly redundant. And it's kind of how they did. It's growing pains, I guess, to try and find a different way of doing things, and that's what this book kind of charts. But yeah, really, really recommend it. So as I said, it's out the 17th of October. You can read it without reading the other books, because I did. I hadn't read a single one of the other books, and I was fine with it. Yeah. So Doing Time by Jodi Taylor, awesome.
All right, on it. Can we talk trailers?
Yeah, hit me. Don't hit me.
Okay, have you watched the one I sent you?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So what is interesting about this is a visual trailer for an audio drama. Do you want to say anything about it, B?
So what I'll say up front, right? Two things. One, I need to get my hands on this, right? That's thing one. Two, I've never been so happy and sad to watch a trailer at the same time.
I know.
Because of how well that trailer was put together, and sad because I was like, why is this an audio drama and not a new reboot? Yeah?
Why is it not? Surely the world is crying out. They'd probably do it darker though, but surely the world is crying out for that.
That was tough, man. So what are we talking about, Dave?
So we're talking about Space 1999. So for those who don't know, on the 13th of September 1999, and you may not have noticed this when it happened, but there was a nuclear explosion on a base on the moon that ripped half of the moon out of Earth's orbit into the cosmos, and the people on Moon Base Alpha basically spent the rest of their lives trying to work out if they'll ever get home.
Whilst having wacky adventures.
Yeah. So this was for us. This was like Saturday morning TV.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. They did 2 seasons. Having watched them both recently, I think the first season was better than the second one.
Without doubt.
Yeah, because they had a new producer come in and try and like make it more snazzy and cheapened it, diluted it. I think.
Did the same thing to Buck Rogers as well, man.
Yeah. What is wrong? Oh, do you remember that Buck Rogers? Ming the Merciless sitting behind his like IKEA desk. Anyway, I'll just get upset. So Big Finish, who are really well known for their Doctor Who audio dramas, doing a range of Space 1999 audio dramas. I haven't listened to much stuff outside of the Doctor Who range just because of time. But I saw this and I was like, I have got to get, because the trailer looked awesome. And they did it in the style of the old TV show. So the minute the music started, I just felt my heart just went.
And you know what, right? When you sent me the link and I clicked the link, it wasn't even the music. Well, it was the music, but I remember, because this used to come on, like you said, used to come on Saturday mornings. And I remember the music vividly and how it started. It always start with Commander Koenig just standing there looking out at the screen.
Yeah.
And then it would be is it Barbara Bain?
Yeah.
She was like the sort of second in command, was there looking at the screen, and then it would kick off. And it and it would just
and they copied the pattern of the opening credits
to the letter. To the letter, Monts, to the point of the minute I saw the guy, and I've seen that guy in a few shows anyway, and the minute I saw the guy, I was like, are they really doing this? They're doing it. They really are doing it. Nah, tough.
Sounds like they're doing it proper.
Tough. That trailer did what a trailer should do, because I was throwing money at the screen.
Right, man. So this is the reason I gave a shout out to Beth and Dixon Bates at the beginning of the show was because I decided to listen to another Big Finish audio thing. Now, way back in the midst of time, there still is a magazine called Doctor Who magazine, and it's for adults really, and young people. But when I was a kid, that magazine was for kids. Yeah, and they had a cartoon strip in it, and in that cartoon, the one I remember was called the Iron Legion, which was about a universe where the Roman Legion, the Roman Empire never fell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there was another one called Doctor Who and the Star Beast, which was set in 1980 in Yorkshire, and an unidentified flying object crashes in a steel mill. And there's this little creature called the Meep, and two teenagers called Sharon and Fudge find the Meep, and the Meep's all cute and lovely, and it's just all furry and cute and cuddling, just goes Meep, Meep. Turns out, the Meep is actually an interstellar dictator whose worlds have fallen under his grasp. And it was the cartoon, the comic strip was a Tom Baker comic strip. They've only gone and decided to make these comic book they call it the Comic Strip Adaptations Volume 1.
Oh, wow.
And so Bethan is someone I know from the voiceover world, and she also took one of my classes, and she was playing the Meep in it. And I've listened to it, and I mean, when I say pure nostalgia, and it starts off with a newsreader talking about this explosion in this steel mill. Do you know who's playing the newsreader?
No.
Angela Rippon.
No.
Seriously, the first female British newsreader, Angela Rippon's doing the newsreader in 1980, so it's spot on, and all the references are just there to make you feel, I don't know, it just made me feel good. It just made me feel warm, and it's a little bit wacky because it's like from the comics, so it's a little bit different to the ordinary scripts. The original comic was done by Pat Mills, who kind of was instrumental in 2000 AD.
Okay.
With John Wagner, who created Judge Dredd, and drawn by Dave Gibbons, who did Watchmen. So, it's got a pedigree. And do you know what? I loved it. And the thing is, because I remember the comic strip so well, which is a real testament to it, I could just see the characters in my mind as well, and I just loved it. And one of the teenagers called Sharon is played by someone, and I just love her name, Rhiannon Starbuck.
Nice.
Proper nice. So yeah, if you want to if you fancy checking out an adaptation of a Doctor Who comic strip from way back in the day, which is going to be a bit wacky, it's going to be fun. It's actually fun. Then you do worse than to check that out.
Cool. Right. Before we get on to our main, which is just a few questions, because you mentioned Starbucks, so it's a little bit of a segue, a little bit of a link. And I thought when I heard this mentioned, I actually thought it was a joke. I thought someone was joking, because why? But apparently,
no, don't say what I think you're going to say.
Okay, but I'm going to say it. Apparently, they're rebooting Battlestar Galactica.
I don't understand.
And it's being done by the guy who's the creator of Mr. Robot.
But it's not that long ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are other things to Space 1999, man. Sapphire and Steel.
So my thing isn't because I feel conflicted to dismiss out of hand rebooting it because of the fact that Battlestar was a reboot.
No, that's not what
right?
I think. For
but
me,
go on.
It's so recent.
Yeah,
do you know what? I'm still processing it. People are still coming to it late and going, "Wow, this was amazing." Yeah. Part of me's going, "It was such a classic. It was so amazing." People are still discovering it. People are still talking about it. We discovered the board game a few years ago, and that totally blew our minds. In my mind, you're diluting something which is a modern classic and hasn't had time to dissipate yet.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from, in the fact that because it's something that Sue kind of mentions every so often that she kind of wish she'd watch. She kind of wants to watch it. And
likewise, I haven't finished watching it with Siobhan yet.
Yeah, now, and I feel that I could put that on, we could sit down and watch it, and she wouldn't go, "Oh, this is a bit, I can't watch this. This is too dated." Because she has a real thing about, like, especially sci-fi stuff or genre stuff that just looks dated. She's just not interested. And I'm like, I could stick that on tomorrow, and that wouldn't be a problem. Whereas there are shows like Space 1999 or Sapphire Steel, all that sort of which in the right hands could be glorious rebooted.
Glorious.
Sapphire Steel, if you pick the right showrunner for that, that's got legs, man.
Yeah, for real.
So that's it's shooting fish in a barrel. Why are you doing that? I just don't. And also as well, I'd rather you reboot stuff which wasn't that great the first time round.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of those shows.
And the thing is, the original Battlestar Galactica was a classic, and it lives on in the memory well, which is why people were a bit resistant. But what they did to it was make it something completely different and amazing. And that doesn't tread on the toes of the original because of how different it is, yet how similar.
Yeah.
But this is, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know. And it might be great. Do you know what? It might be great, but we've got something that was great that wasn't on too long ago, and people still have heard great things about it. Siobhan and I got through the end of season 1, and she still wants to do the other seasons. And then there's the movies, and then there's the spin-offs to rewatch as well. I mean, I'm still processing that.
To be fair, I'm reading through. To be fair, in a tweet posted after the story was sort of released, the Sam Esmail, who's the creator, has clarified that the show is not a straight remake, but instead something of a spin-off. Because why mess with perfection?
Because what?
Because why mess with perfection?
Nice. But what does that mean? What does that mean?
Instead, we'll explore a new story within the mythology while staying true to the spirit of Battlestar. So say we all.
Okay.
Forget all what right. I said. Forget the last 5 minutes, man. All right.
But this has always been our problem with stuff like Star Wars. Is like there's a lot of mythology to explore. Why you just keep going back to the same story?
Yeah. Stop. Just come out of that corner.
Yeah.
Come out of the Skywalker corner. That's what I'm calling it, man. The Skywalker corner. Come out of that. You got plenty of other rooms in your house, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. Benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, benefit of the doubt. Apologies, Sam. We'll give you the.
Yeah.
Give you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So we've got 10 minutes, 10,
Yep.
15 minutes.
What are people saying?
Let's take some questions from the people, from the peeps.
The peeps.
So first, we've actually got, I say that, we've got, there's some questions on Facebook I have to go and get. So Ken Doyle asked, and I believe I've answered this. Ken Doyle has asked, are there any new fiction books you'd recommend? I've read all the David Gemmell and Jim Butcher's. Congratulations on reaching this milestone. Thanks, Ken. Well, from my perspective, if you've been listening through this, I recommended Doing Time. So, like I said, I really enjoyed that, and I'm all into that series now. And there's 10 books, so I would say either check out Doing Time or check out the first book, because I'm about a third of the way through the first book, which name I think it's called Just Another Thing. Just One Damn Thing After Another. That's book 1 of the Chronicles of St. Mary. Give that a go. Let me know, and let me know what you think.
I would recommend the Rivers of London series.
You need to check those out, actually.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, someone once described it as, imagine if Harry Potter grew up and joined the Metropolitan Police, which it kind of rings true for me.
Right.
If you know London at all, then it's fantastic. But then I enjoyed the Jim Butcher books without knowing the city where that was based. So that's a perk if you're from London. But if not, they're still really well written books about the magic department of the Metropolitan Police. Yeah, get on that.
Cool. Andy Hall, that name ring a bell?
Yeah, Andy.
So Andy was the director of our 2 BBC documentaries. He still listens to the show and still drops me quite a few texts and recaps of the shows once he's listened to them. So hi Andy, if you're listening, which you will be. So his 2 questions, which are off the back of the last episode, we had this sort of deep dive into comics and its relationships with the comic book adaptation stuff. So his first question is best comic book derived movie. So there's 2 questions. That's the first one. Movie. Comic book derived movie. So I don't know if that's a saying. That's not really an adaptation, is it? It's just saying the best.
Yeah. I suppose it's like, what movie based on a comic book have we enjoyed the most?
Yeah.
Wow. There's so much to choose from. Okay. I almost feel like I don't want to include any of the Marvel movies because it's just too much.
Fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Oh boy. So we're talking live action here, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Well, it just says, it says best comic book derived movie, so that could be an animated movie. He did say not Spider-Verse.
Oh, just
fish in the barrel, man.
Okay, so what if I said Teen Titans Go to the Movies? Is that wrong? Because I just watched a 5-minute excerpt from the new one, Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. I'm all up for that movie. It's straight to DVD, and I can't wait. I literally pre-ordered it, and I had to get my kids up and go, "Oh, kids, yeah, let's get it." I was like, "Good, I've got an excuse."
Wake up!
Yeah, it's here.
Shining lights in their faces with torches.
It's time.
No one sleeps. Everyone watches. No one sleeps.
So I do you know what? Black Panther sticks out for me. I enjoyed it that much. Blade does too. That's another one that just stays with me.
You get one, buddy.
Oh, Matt, you go first.
You can't talk for 10 minutes and then go, you go first.
I just did. I think you'll find I just did.
All right, Blade. So for me,
okay.
Yeah. Sorry now, ain't you? For me, I thought about this, and it was weird because I actually thought I would struggle. I thought I'd be like, oh, Superman the movie, because that Superman the movie as a place, you know what I mean? But I think for me it was Blade, and it's not just because like it was seeing a black character on screen, but it wasn't that. It was, for me, it was so unexpected, and I have yet to see, with the exception of Superman the movie where he captures the helicopter or whatever, that within 5 minutes, not even 5 in seconds of seeing your hero, you're told everything you need to know by the reaction of his enemies. Right? That opening, I still say, with the exception of, and I still don't even want to spoil Endgame, with the exception of what happens at the end of Endgame with Captain America. That's all I'll say, and what he says. I don't think I've ever seen a sequence that I've loved so much than that opening with Blade.
No, and you know what? And that's what, you know what? Sorry, I know I said go first, but I'm still going with Blade because that sticks in my mind. It's never left my mind. And there's a certain type of music. If I hear it, it's vaguely like it. In my head, I'm reaching for my swords and and actually, so actors do their warm ups, yeah, and all of that, and they stretch and they do that, whatever. For many years, my warm up was to kill invisible vampires a la Blade before going on stage. I'd be like, people look at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, killing vampires. They're like, there's no one there. Okay. Fine. And it doesn't matter. I'm killing. And that's all down to Blade. That affected my professional life.
And the thing is, as well, is like with the Marvel films now, they've got backup. Do you get what I'm saying? You drop a Marvel film now, it's got the backup of all the other Marvel films that have come before it. So people are going to give it a go. You know what I mean? When Blade came out, there was nothing
standing on its own.
It was standing on its own. There was nothing to back it up. And for me, that opening sequence, and it was just like 200 vampires covered in blood, backing up away from one dude. And I didn't really know anything about Blade, so I didn't even know that he was a vampire. He was just one dude who just looked badass walking into like a club full of vampires. I was like, boy, this ain't gonna go too well. And I just think it's just the way they're whispering. It's
the Daywalker.
It's the Daywalker. Blade, it's Daywalker. He's basically their boogeyman, and from that moment, that film never let up. But also in terms of world building as well, second to none. Whistler just nailed it.
Can I give an honourable mention there? And it'll be a surprise. It'll be a surprise. Largo Winch.
Yeah, that is good.
So Largo Winch is a French comic book, and I described it as what happened if you had Bruce Wayne and there was no such thing as Batman.
Yeah.
What would it be like? That's what Largo. And I think there was a TV series. I think there was another film, but there was a particular iteration of Largo Winch which just kicked ass in every way.
Yeah,
and I absolutely loved that movie.
Is that the one which has a climactic rooftop fist fight?
That's the one. Climactic rooftop fist fight. That is a fight. It is a fight.
It's a fight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. If you haven't seen the Largo Winch film, you need to check that out. That film was tough, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't do honorable mention. We'll move on.
Yeah.
Andy's next question is best superhero movie.
What?
So one is best comic book derived movie.
Yeah. So are we allowed to say Spider-Verse now?
No, because he says aside from Spider-Verse.
Oh, because all right.
Yeah, because I suppose we could have chosen something completely left field in terms of comic book derived movie.
Yeah. So what's this superhero? This is
because I could have done Unbreakable.
Is that too right?
Hold it.
Okay. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thought you disappeared.
I'm waiting for you to go first.
Right. movie. So we're not talking TV. We're talking movie. It's really obvious, but I don't care. The one that made the biggest impression on my heart was Black Panther for several reasons. I liked it as a movie in and of itself, but a lot of the way it made me feel, I love it for.
For me, I still wanna either pick. I want to pick Superman, just because it was my film as a kid.
Yeah.
Believe a Man Could Fly. So but that's in my back pocket. You know what I mean? That's in my back pocket. You know what? No, because I was going to pick Winter Soldier.
Go classic, man. Go classic.
But I'm going to go classic. I'm going to pick Superman, because Superman the movie, because that musical score is sublime. That musical score is second to none. And you can listen to that musical score without seeing the film and know every beat of that film. And not even I ain't even talking like the main Superman, Superman theme. All of that music in that film is grade A material. But that whole it's not even the sequence where he kind of catches the helicopter, though. That is beautiful. That sequence is just, and even now for me, that still holds up. When you catch the helicopter, it's just effortless. When you see Superman now, the way he's done now, everything, it's not that it seems an effort, but it has to be sort of, he can't just fly. He's got to kind of like crack the ground to fly. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There has to be an effect for him to. Whereas Chris Reeve is like, I don't need to do that because I'm Superman. You know what I mean? I don't need to trouble the ground because I'm Superman. But for me, it's the sequence where he goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and then he's talking to Jor-El, and then Jor-El sort of says, "See, for that reason above all, I've chosen Earth for you. Now it's time for you to rejoin your new world and to serve its collective of humanity. Live as one of them, Kal-El, to see where your strength and power is needed, but always hold in your heart the pride of a special heritage. They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way. For that reason above others, their capacity for good, I've sent them you." That
did you
monologue.
So you didn't do that from memory?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah,
you're lying, innit?
No, I promise you, man.
Okay, all right.
You know what I mean? I promise you.
Right.
I know what that film was.
No,
you know what I mean? I know that film, man. And then the mask turns around, and then you see him as Superman for the first time, and then he flies to the screen, and then the music's going, and he kind of like banks off. You can throw millions at CG, man, but you ain't topping that. You ain't topping that, man.
Okay.
Worthy, man.
Yeah, worthy. I hear you.
So, closing questions, because I want to get this out, because these are good ones, which came from our GS Facebook group. If people don't know, we do have a Facebook group, but it's not public. You have to ask to join, but we will let you in. So come along and join up and join the fun. I could have made that sound more exciting.
Yeah, it's all right. Go with it.
So let's whiz through these, man. Cameron McCrory, apologies for murdering your name. What's your favourite comic book, and the best episode of TV you've ever seen?
Oh, damn!
Damn! Do you want me to take this?
Go on then.
Okay. Favourite book? Any book by David Gemmell, but I'm going to say Winter Warriors because that was the first David Gemmell book that I read, and was just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Worthy.
Comic book, Planetary. Planetary. If you got to pin me down on the issue, it'd be the issue with Sherlock Holmes, because that would be the issue that Dave recommended me, that made me go back and pick up every single issue of Planetary I could get my hands on. And the best episode of TV you've ever seen.
I mean, what? I don't even know where to start with that one.
You know what, right? I'm gonna pick the. It's difficult because it's hard to pick one about the other. But I'm just gonna go for this episode, even though I kind of want to pick both of them. But I want to say the last ever episode of Angel.
Nice.
Because you know what? If you're going to go out, that's how you go out.
I'll take the 1,000 on the left.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I wish they'd never. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the comic series that continued afterwards doesn't exist in my head. In my mind, that's how Angel ended.
Yeah, I hear you.
Obviously, there's other shows that I could say which were technically better and more. I don't know, but I don't know that ending. Man.
Do you know what? It doesn't have to be the best thing. It just has to be the best for you.
Yeah. No. Fair point.
Wow. Okay. So book. It's fairly easy for me. I mean, there's so many I could mention, but the one I'm going to say is A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. Read it when I was really young, and it's not full of action and magic lightning and all the rest of it, but it was just beautiful and haunting and horrible and lovely at the same time. I just loved the way it was written, and also it was that moment when I realized that none of the characters were white, because the thing you have to understand is, as a black guy growing up in this country, your default is white, and a lot of people go, well, when you read stuff you imagine them as black, don't you? No, because I'm not grown up in that culture. I'm not surrounded by that subconscious landscape. So yeah, and then to realize that none in the book that I was loving, none of the characters were white, was revolutionary for my young brain, and and changed things. So for me, that's just amazing. And Ursula Le Guin is just a wonderful writer anyway. Comic book, I have to go Planetary. Geek Syndicate wouldn't exist without it, and I don't know what would have happened to Barry and I's friendship without it either. That Sherlock Holmes issue. Because I was reading Planetary and I found that, and I thought, you know what, Barry would love this, and Barry had moved to Northampton, kind of lost touch a little bit.
Free choice.
Okay, whatever. Moving on. And I sent it to him, and that's what sparked us getting back in touch, and that's what led to Geek Syndicate. So I can't choose anything else. Best episode of TV. Best episode. I'm struggling with that one.
You know what? Scratch it. Scratch Angel. I'm gonna say a line, but that isn't the episode. It's the episode that follows that is the episode.
Go
You
on.
ready?
Yeah.
If you go to Zara Doom, you will die.
Oh, come on!
Then I die, but I won't go down easily, and I won't go down alone. You will teach me. Yes.
Hey, I was going somewhere else until this moment. I was going elsewhere until this moment. You just brought me back. Babylon 5 lives forever in my mind. And yeah, the journey to Zahadum.
Because didn't you come up to Northampton to watch that finale, Zahadum?
Yeah.
And I remember that ending.
There's a couple of things I've had to travel up to yours to do. One of them was Serenity.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I hadn't seen it, had I?
No.
Yeah. Man.
I just wanted to watch. There was a moment I wasn't even watching the screen. I was just watching your face.
Bad. Still hits me, man.
Yeah. No. As a series, in my mind, Babylon 5 just lives supreme.
Yeah.
But yeah, that episode was just all the stakes. All the stakes were there,
man. Zahadum. Not technically the greatest or the best acted out of all the many shows that I've watched, but in terms of hitting you where you live, Zahadum, man. Zahadum.
Yeah. I can't believe I wasn't even okay. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither, man. Me neither. So Stace has asked, which has been your favourite GS spin-off podcast, and why is it definitely Comic Racks?
Stace,
oh, you're a one.
You're a one. Classic Stace.
Yeah. We love them all. We've been on.
Yeah.
Dion has said, congrats to you. This is the last one. Congrats to you both. Geek Syndicate has opened some pretty awesome doors for you over the years. Oh, no. We'll come back. I've got one more after this. Over the years, do you have any hopes and dreams that remain unfulfilled? And if so, what are your next steps towards them as a team or as individuals?
Do
you want to go first? Do you want to go first?
Literally, did you not hear my answer then?
What?
Mm.
Well, I would. I'd like to take my one-man show, Rum Tum Tucker, to Canada.
Rum Tum Tucker.
Early talks. I can't. You know what I mean? I don't want to jinx anything, but looking favourable. I don't know.
Well, you know what? So one of the things that we did achieve throughout was to get a couple of BBC documentaries out. I would love it. I'd love a Geek Syndicate TV series.
Yeah, I mean,
following our wacky hijinks. Or I would like one of. I would love to. I don't know. My personal thing is to be in a number of science fiction, TV shows or movies, and if Geek Syndicate facilitated that in any way, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think for me would be one, the GS TV show. We did pitch several ideas to the BBC, but sadly it just didn't the stars didn't align as they were. I think for me, my biggest dream, because I'd come so close, and I truly believe it was a timing thing, was many years ago now. Well, say many, it's probably about 7 years ago. I'd been approached by a production company who bought the rights to my novel Fallen Heroes, and they were going to do a TV show. And they'd written the pilot, they'd done a series treatment, and we'd pitched it to loads of companies, and sadly it just wasn't the time. And I think I just missed out on the streaming boom, because streaming didn't exist really then. There was no Netflix, there was no Amazon Prime, and a day doesn't go by where I don't think if it had been 3 years later, would it have been different? So I think for me that is definitely it's an unfulfilled dream. But to be honest, so many of the dreams that I've had, and so many dreams I didn't even realize I had, have come true, that I can't be too upset. Do you know what I mean? I've had a lot of great things have happened to me over the years, so I've got to appreciate those. And if anything else happens, then so be it.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, the last question, which is from good old Pete Rogers. If you could each invite 3 guests for a roundtable geek discussion, who would they be and why?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, you go first.
Okay. 1, David Gemmell. Sadly, he's no longer with us. But I'm assuming it's kind of anyone, But I would love to. He has this phrase in his books that he uses, walk the mountains with, and he's definitely a man I'd like to walk the mountains with, and just pick his brains, just talk to him, as one writer to a supremely greater writer. So he's one. Another one is George Lucas, just cause I want to just have a chat with the dude, just to sort of go, midi-chlorians, man, what was going on there?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
for real.
But also just to kind of ask him stuff like, kind of, how did the thought process go? Why did you make certain changes when you were developing it? Not to have a go at the dude and all that nonsense. Do you know what I mean? But more just to get into it. Like, at what point did you decide that Luke and Leia were going to be brother and sister? Because I don't believe you knew that from day dot. And how did that thought process work? Why did you do this and all that sort of stuff? What do you think about the turn it's taken now? How do you find the new films? I feel that and then really get into it about Indiana Jones and stuff. So yeah, I'd like to have George Lucas there. I won't say Denzel Washington, but he scares me. Whenever I see him interviewed, man, he just looks really intense, and I just kind of feel like he'd just be sitting there, and I'd be trying to come up with something to ask him, and I'd just be like laughing nervously. Do you know what I mean? Like potatoes. But probably Denzel Washington, because he's just an amazing actor. I'm sure I could think of more people. I'm sure I should have threw some comic people in there and stuff. But three's not enough, man. First dinner.
Bear with me.
You Googling who you can invite.
Yeah.
You are, aren't you?
I've got to get their names, man.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, nearly there, nearly there.
I wouldn't mind. Whilst you're still looking, I wouldn't mind having J.K. Rowling around as well.
Just having a round.
Just having a round. Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of a chat, a bit of a catch up. How's it
No.
going, Joe?
Yeah, nearly there, nearly there. Gotcha. One more to find.
It's a rush, buddy. You celebrated 14 years by the time you find them.
Yeah, okay. Oops, I'm like. So the first one is Jeff Lemire and Travel Foreman. So they did let's say Jeff Lemire, because he wrote Animal Man after the part of the New 52.
Yeah.
And it was just after my daughter died, I picked up an issue of Animal Man and I opened it, and it was the issue where Animal Man was going to the funeral of his son. And it was really powerful and so well written. And I'd love to go, all right, well, let's talk about how you write those moments like that, because to me it felt so real. I'm like, how'd you write? So I'd love to, how'd you get them kind of that level of emotion into, into comics like that. Also, J.M. DeMatteis and Keith Giffen, they come as a couple. They come as a pair. So I'm just taking that. Mainly because they wrote Dr. Fate back in the day. I can't even remember when it was. It was in the 80s, I think. And it was just this exploration of philosophy and religion and meaning of life. And it was fun, but it was really, really, really made you think. And I loved it for that. And Grant Morrison, because of what he did for the Doom Patrol and Animal Man back in the day, just really elevated the way I think, I want to do another one. Can I add a fourth person?
Yeah, go on
then. And I'm adding, it's a guy I like so much, and name's gone straight up. Dennis O'Neill. Sorry, Dennis O'Neill.
Oh, The Question.
Read The Question, yeah. So they're all comics that have really shaped me and opened my mind to different ways of thinking and reading comics, whatever. And I'd just love to chat with those guys.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I believe that covers us on the questions front, and that brings us neatly to the end of this 13th anniversary episode.
13th anniversary episode, people. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks. If anyone's been listening for 13 years, why?
Yeah, drop us a line. Drop us a line with an email with the title.
Explaining your mental state of being.
This is why I've been listening since the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. Because wow. But for those who've listened along the way, thank you. For those who are listening now, thank you. Appreciate the love. Yeah. So should we keep going?
Yeah, I reckon so. At least the episode, anyway.
Yeah. Okay then. So, in effect, we will see you next month. But in the meantime, if you've got any questions, don't feel like you can't ask them. And you know how to do it. The Geeks at geeksyndicate.co.uk. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. And don't forget the website, geeksyndicate.co.uk. So, until next time, Geek Syndicate, we out.